Sports, news, and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, last week the ruling came down that the Washington Redskins name is disparaging to Native Americans. Who made that declaration? The declaration was made by the Trademark Trial and Appeal Board, known as TTAB, and therefore they say the trademark must be canceled. Now, I said at the time that this has to be unprecedented. You know, when did this ever happen before, and how could this be? And apparently there is one case way back. I couldn't even start to explain to you what the case was. But this, to me, is the hard fist of government coming down, overstepping, overreaching, much like the U.S. Supreme Court today ruled that the EPA has done in trying to regulate new plants, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But the fact of the matter is, what should happen here, if the Washington Redskins name is offensive, first of all, polls should show that, right? The two polls that I have seen and that I have cited on this program show that overwhelmingly, I don't mean 55-45, I mean 70s and 80s, overwhelmingly, Native Americans that have been polled say that this is not offensive to them. Okay? It is not offensive to them. So that's number one. Number two, what should happen here is that the free market takes over. If this is so outrageous and so offensive, then A, the NFL commissioner, I don't know what the constitution of the NFL is. Remember the NBA constitution came into play with Donald Sterling and his remarks? Well, if this is so outrageous and racist and offensive, then the NFL, why is the NFL commissioner to this moment defending the name Redskins? Why does the owner of the team not want to change the name? Isn't he suffering financially? Oh, I'm sorry, he's not. You see, there's a waiting list for season tickets, years and years and years long. In other words, you got to hope somebody passes away that you know, or that you're left season tickets, because you ain't getting Washington Redskins season tickets any other way. And their paraphernalia, their uniforms, their jerseys, that all sells. That all sells. So nobody is suffering. And according to the polls, an overwhelming majority is not offended. So without a public outcry, a public reaction, a reaction from the people who are supposedly offended, in fact, the other way with them, what's this all about? What is this all about? And I'll tell you what it's all about. It's beyond political correctness. It's way beyond political correctness. It's an attempt at running your life, running someone's business, dictating to someone. I mean, if you want to start a business and name it, I'm not going to say it because then, of course, then I'll be, in trouble. But think of a derogatory name towards any race, any gender, any ethnicity, anything, sexual orientation, and you want to open a store and call it that? There could be protests outside your store. Nobody will buy in your store. No one will shop in your store. You'll go out of business. That's the way it should work if someone's foolish enough to take that direction in a business. But folks, here's the hypocrisy. Snyder, the owner of the Redskins, is the bad guy now. He's the bad guy. How could he do this, legally or otherwise? How could he? How could he do this? They're after him legally. They're after him, morally, ethically. How could he do this? Well, excuse me. How many stories have you heard about Ted Turner, the great liberal icon Ted Turner, right? CNN founder, billionaire, owns the Atlanta Braves. As a matter of fact, one of my first, most notable interviews while at Brooklyn College Radio was Ted Turner. Why did I call him up? Because the day before, he was kicked out of baseball for managing from the dugout. He was the owner. He took over as manager for a game. They kicked him out or suspended him. I called him, and the first thing he said to me over the phone, I was at Brooklyn College Radio, and he's down in Atlanta. He says, "Call me Ted, Steve." And I did. But my point is this racist? Now, this isn't me. This is me doing what they do in Atlanta at the ballpark. Ooh, 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 ooh. And what is that? That's a tomahawk chop. I've seen Ted Turner and the great, great American Jane Fonda stand up and do it with the rest of the crowd. Ooh, 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 ooh. Now that's not offensive? That's not problematic? No, because they're beyond reproach. They're beyond reproach. They're liberal. I see Chad's now doing it in the control room. He's doing it with his left hand. I think you got to do it with your right hand. I could be wrong. Maybe we should call Jane up and find out the proper way to do the tomahawk chop, which apparently isn't offensive, apparently isn't controversial. Neither is the name Braves. No, neither is their symbol, their emblem. None of that's offensive. No, only the Washington Redskins. That's offensive. Even though, again, polls of Native Americans show they're not offended. And this is consistent with the way the media and our government operate. Barack Obama will tell you, we have the public on our side, on this issue, on that issue, on every issue. Then the polls come out. Gitmo. There was a poll on closing Gitmo the other day. A majority of Americans are opposed to closing Gitmo. But if you listen to the news, if you listen to the networks, if you listen to Obama and the politicians, again, for the umpteenth time, they would have you think you're nuts. Something's wrong with you. Notice I did that righty and lefty, as opposed to the tomahawk chop. They'll have you think something's wrong with you if you want to keep Gitmo open. Because it's un-American, it's not who we are, it's repulsive. No. Most Americans want it open. And unless you saw that poll, or listen to me give you the results, or you wouldn't know that. Because the media and this administration and the liberals in Washington, even though they're in the minority on issue after issue after issue, they present it as if the whole world thinks like them, specifically the whole country or most of the country. And if you have the other thought, there's something wrong with you. Remember, whether it's the Redskins or whatever, whether the Redskins or whether it's Gitmo or immigration, whatever. If you don't believe that the sky is green and the grass is blue, then there's something wrong with you. Always remember that, my friends. Always remember that. All right, folks, we're coming back. Don't go away. Steve Malzberg's show. You're going to hear from Benjamin Netanyahu. You're not going to want to miss this right here on Newsmax Television.